Hey, welcome back. I'm Steve Rhode, the Get Out Deck Guy. And with me, as always, is the abominable.
Abdominal?
The abdominal snowman. He's got a six-pack. He's got little icicles there. I don't know. Got the wrong word. The other guy.
Hey,
Damon Day.
the other guy. You're actually the one known as the other guy. Every time somebody calls me, it's like, yeah, I've been listening to podcasts with you and that other guy.
Yeah, my life is always known as the other guy.
Yeah, it's that other guy.
I told you the story about my friend Joe. He was, he was so charismatic. And no matter where we went in the country, people knew him. And we're in Denver airport, so like the middle of the night, we're catching a connecting flight. And I hear somebody go, Joe! And I know what my role is, right? And because Joe goes, yeah, and this is my friend Steve. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Steve. Howdy ho, neighbors.
Yeah. All right, you're back with the Get Out Debt Guy show. We're talking about, that debt thing instead of old friend
I was going to say, I bet we're talking about debt.
I bet we are. And today we're going to talk about what to actually do with that tax refund when you're in debt. We kind of talked about it a little bit last time. We told you how your tax refund won't save you, and we showed you the math, but that doesn't mean the refund is useless. I mean, far from it. A tax refund can be nice money. It's real money. And the question is, how do you deploy it for maximum impact? And today we're going to give you some specific strategies based on where you are in your debt journey. Same refund, completely different outcomes. But one thing I want to talk about tax refunds initially before we jump into the stories is I understand mentally why people are comforted by getting a big tax refund. But if you're just finding that the months are too short for your money, it might be worth it to adjust your withholdings. So instead of getting a huge tax refund at the end of the year, you're breaking even, but you're getting a bigger paycheck when you need it most. You've seen all that, Damon.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes we use that as a strategy when we're trying to come up with ways to get some extra monthly cash to right the ship from the cash flow, because cash flow is where everything starts and stops.
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah, sometimes it makes sense to get a little bit extra cash, but you got to have a plan for that money. If you just adjust your withholdings, get the extra cash, you got a bigger check, you've got no plan for it, then all you're practically doing is just lowering your refund check at the end of the year, because you're not going to know where in the hell did that extra money go that I was supposedly getting in my check every month. And
so your lifestyle
as long as you
expanded.
have a plan for it. Yeah, if you have a plan for it and a need for it, sometimes it makes good sense. Hey, if I can use an extra $500 a month for this specific purpose throughout the year, like paying off debt or, funding a settlement or whatever it is, that can be a better use of that money rather than waiting to the end of the year. And now I've got my $5,000 check. What should I do with it?
Yeah. And one mistake I've seen people make all the time is they'll take the $5,000 check and, like they've got, let's say, $50,000 of credit card debt. And they'll take the $5,000 check, they'll pay it off on the credit cards. Now you got $45,000 credit card debt and no savings, no reserve. And the first time the tires, need to be replaced, guess where it goes? Right back on the credit card. So we'll get into it, but.
And if you got $50,000 in credit card debt and the only time you really make any kind of decent headway on it is that once a year when you get the tax refund and you knock it down $5,000 and then a few months later it's back up to 50, you have to realize that, you're paying probably $15,000 a year in interest alone.
Yeah.
Carrying that debt. And so if every year comes and goes and all you're really able to do is maintain it and throw $5,000 at it that gets eaten back up throughout the year, we got to do a different plan.
Yeah,
the
that's
plan
not a
that
plan.
You're doing is not working.
No.
We can't keep throwing, $15,000 a year in just interest only to try to pay down an extra $5,000 when the tax refund comes.
It costs you 15
we got to rip
more.
the Band-Aid off a little bit. Yeah.
It costs you 15 more, and you're going to throw 5 at it. The math isn't mathing.
Yeah. You're not even barely covering the interest on it. So if you've been holding debt for longer than a year and it's not significantly going down, we got to switch it up. Got to change it up.
There are lots of other plans and approaches. So 2 things. Number 1, I'm historically remiss in reminding people that if they want to reach out and talk to you, they can reach you at Damon Day, DamonDay.com, and you can tell them the other guy told you to call.
The other guy said to call.
Yeah, the other guy said to call. If you can also go to the getoutofdebt.org website. That's my site. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there for you. One of the things that's been really, I'm kind of proud of it, it's been successful, is the Ask Steve chat box. So if it's 3 a.m. and you're panicking and you don't know what to do, hey, you can talk to virtual me at 3 a.m. and you'll get some really good advice. So the other
virtual Steve is pretty on top of it.
Here's the thing. That I trained this thing on 30 years of my experience. So it's so much better than any kind of you go to Google and ask a question. The problem with doing that, like just going to Google or just going to some AI and asking a question, is it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if all the AI was trained on, stuff that appeared on Reddit, that's not real stuff. And so
hey, don't knock Reddit. I get a lot of clients because of Reddit, because they tried to do what the guy on Reddit said to do, and that didn't work, and they're like, maybe I need some real help.
Yeah, I saw a question earlier. It was one about I had an air conditioning system installed and the contractor didn't do the work right, so I'm refusing to pay the finance company.
Well,
yeah, I got some bad news.
I can see how you arrived at that conclusion, but it don't work that way for you, unfortunately.
Right.
The contractor just recommended the financing to you. That's all.
And of course, on Reddit, they're saying things like, don't pay them.
Well,
dude's
and
gonna leave a mark.
Fine, but the finance company is not the one that did or did not do the work. So you could not pay them and deal with that. But whether or not the person did the work has nothing to do with the finance company. You can't say, hey, the guy that recommended you to me to get this money that I could give to him didn't do the work, so you need to go after them.
Yeah, my new car is a lemon, so I'm not going to pay Bank of America.
Yeah, and you don't have to, and then they'll take the lemon off your hands.
Yeah, fresh squeezed.
Yeah. One day it'll just be gone, like magic.
Problem gone. All right, the other thing is, I have been a posting fool on getoutofdebt.org. So many stories, and every time I write one, it's like, wow, this is really important. Wow, this is really important. I mean, just this morning, there's been a bunch of shit that's come out. But Damon, we start the shows with you picking a couple of stories that caught your eye on the website. Let's talk about it for a moment.
Yeah. The first one, you actually did a little free tool. Shocker. I think you're up to like 800,000 free tools. Something.
Only 18.
I'm rounding up.
Yeah.
But this one, your brain on debt. Remember the old commercials with the, your brain on drugs and the fried egg?
Yeah.
Seared into my memory from my childhood. But you did this, you put together this new tool and you wrote an article about it. Your Brain on Debt, the free quiz that reveals what's really driving your financial decisions.
Yeah. It's when people are in the middle of a crisis, it's kind of like a joke, like they become dumber. But it's a scientific fact. The financial stress will actually lower your IQ. It'll make you more likely to be depressed, inability to develop a plan, take action, follow through, all these things. But there are 4 primary brain states when you're in the middle of a financial problem. And tell me if you have recognized these in any of the people that you've talked to over the past decades. They're in survival mode, right? Crisis overrides rational thinking. You ever seen anybody like that?
A few.
Yeah.
A few per day.
High anxiety. Stress narrows choices, right? They get tunnel vision.
Yes.
Shame-driven. People make bad decisions on how to get out of debt because they're afraid of how they're going to feel. But the goal we want to get them to is relative clarity, rational, open, responsible thinking, accepting good advice, making good decisions, and most importantly, letting information that you've heard or read or learned, let it percolate for a day or two before you take any rash action. So this quiz, Your Brain on Debt, I think it's really insightful because it helps you to understand. Now, the key is I can get you to understand, where your brain is right now. Once I give you that information, how do I get you to take a beat, take a breath, and, reach out to Damon or hit me on the Ask Steve chat and get some real information? Because this is why
that's a different website, Steve. That's not for this one.
I got to find my Harry Potter magic wand for that one. But this is
hit me on the Ask Steve chat. It's a different AI tool.
Yeah, kick you in the ass. But this is why people all the time fall for these debt relief schemes, because they're not thinking about this clearly, and they have a panic response, and they're looking for the first thing that sounds good. And then what ends up happening is, be it days, weeks, or months, or sometimes years down the road, they'll be like, I got ripped off. No, it all started with you not making a clear decision.
Yeah, most people, when they call me, they're in survival mode and high anxiety essentially together. That's most of the time.
Yeah.
And they're in the survival mode and the high anxiety mode mainly because oftentimes of the shame-driven phase where they basically, I borrowed the money, I got to pay it. And then they kind of box themselves into where they're out of retirement, they're out of savings, they're out of everything, their cards are maxed. And that's where the survival mode and the high anxiety comes in, because they're not sure what they're going to do when their mortgage payment comes due next week, or whatever it is. But once in a while, I actually will have people call in the relative clarity phase. Mm-hmm. I will get calls like that where they've just, I've been going back and forth with this thing. I've been carrying this debt, and I've been researching this and looking at this, and based on what I've read, I think I can do this, and I think I should do that. And sometimes it's like, sometimes the call is me going, yes, I agree with everything that you're saying. Yeah. Based on what you're telling me, I think you're on the right path. That happens sometimes too, right? Where it's just, and sometimes that's all somebody might need is just somebody else taking an outside look at their situation and saying, yeah, I'm thinking about this and I'm pretty sure I'm right. Do you agree? Doctor?
I concur.
I concur. That's not most of the time, but that is sometimes. So sometimes that relative clarity is there and they can see it for what it is.
So this quiz, it's 20 questions, takes just a couple minutes. I don't ask you for any personal information, no email, no name, no nothing, just helping you to get some clarity about your thinking right now. And if you go to getoutofdebt.org, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's the free tool footer, and it's in that list of the 18 other free tools that I have there that you can use.
And darn it, it's such a good-looking website. It's just pleasing to look at. Steve spent 20 years getting to the point where he can let AI make him an awesome website.
Yeah. 20 years of computers, programming, skills, all that crap.
It just looks good, man. It looks good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. The other story that one story that we're probably not going to get to, but I think that everybody should go read because I think it's fascinating. The research on this was incredible. Again, it's at the getoutofdebt.org website. But I had this thought the other day. Would Jesus file bankruptcy? And then I spent a couple hours looking into it, and the answer will really surprise you, and the facts will really surprise you. It's worth reading. But the other one that I was really proud of this week was the 1099-C calculator to help you figure out if you're going to have to pay taxes on forgiven debt, because this is the time of year where everybody's getting those 1099-C forms for forgiven debt. They're very confused by them. Very confused.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where read it often is not a great read it. Is it read it or read it? Did I read it or have I read it?
I've always heard it as read it, but
read it? I read it on Reddit? All right, it's Reddit. Okay. So, yeah, the 1099-C issue, and this is where we're talking about if you have debt that's forgiven, do you have to pay tax on that forgiven debt? Are you going to receive a 1099? Essentially, if you owe Bank of America $10,000 and they agree to take a $5,000 payoff to settle that debt, what happens to the other $5,000 that you did not have to pay back? Well, Bank of America is going to write that off as a loss. And so is the IRS then going to go to say, hey, if Bank of America had a loss, who had the gain, right? And so you could be liable to pay taxes as if you earned that extra $5,000.
That's the IRS position.
Year.
Yeah,
correct. So that has to be taken into account when you are looking at exploring different options, looking at bankruptcy, looking at debt settlement, looking at Dave Ramsey type, debt snowball. When you're looking at all these different strategies, you have to figure out whether or not, if you had debt forgiven, if you, in your specific situation, because not everybody has to pay taxes on forgiven debt.
Right.
Some do, some don't. You need to figure that out. You would need to figure out whether or not you fall into that category. And if so, how much in taxes would that forgiven debt cost, and factor that into the decision-making process. So you're making a good choice based on real information.
The other thing that catches people is something that you mentioned just a moment ago, which is the creditor charged off the debt. That doesn't mean they still can't collect on it. That doesn't mean
on Reddit, it means you don't have to worry about it. It's charged off. It's gone, baby. It's gone.
Well, see, that's what people like that, I like to call them wrong. Because
Reddit is wrong. Get a bumper sticker.
Because when a creditor has to charge off a debt, it doesn't mean the debt is eliminated. That is an accounting function. So for the IRS, they have to declare the debt as uncollectible or bad debt, and they have to notify the IRS so the IRS can collect taxes. But that debt can be sold. It can be attempted to be collected on. It can be collected on up to the statute of limitations, or maybe, even after, if they're pushing the envelope. So the other problem with 1099s is they're not always issued to the right people or at the right time, or they're not always correct, and trying to get them fixed is damn near impossible.
Nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare.
And they're also not always issued in period. Sometimes you just won't get a 1099. You have a debt forgiven or settled or whatever, and you never receive a 1099.
Yeah, but it may still be reported to the IRS.
Yeah. So what do? I don't know. I mean, are you a gambler? You're supposed to report that, but if you don't get it, then you're wondering, did I just not get it, or did the IRS also not get it, or what's going on? So it can get a little bit sticky. But if you get a 1099, for forgiven debt, the first thing you look at, and you should do this long before you ever receive the 1099. You should do it when you're considering settling a debt, or you have a debt forgiven. That's the time when you look at, am I going to eventually owe taxes on this if a 1099 comes? And what you're looking for is your overall net worth, and it's called the insolvency rule. You're looking to see essentially whether or not your assets outweigh your liabilities or vice versa. If you add up all your assets and all of your debt, is the number positive or is the number negative? If the number is negative, there's a chance that you could get a waiver and not have to pay taxes on some or all of the 1099s that you get.
Yeah, but there's a big gotcha.
Always a big gotcha. But just go to Reddit and figure it out.
Or you can go to getoutofdebt.org, go down to the bottom of the site in the free tools section and look at the 1099C calculator and get the facts.
But why? Why would you do that?
Why would you just the facts?
You just want to talk to Morebanger 57 on Reddit.
Facts are so inconvenient. I mean, the big thing that I think that a lot of people don't think about is if you have any sort of retirement account, people don't think, that's part of my net worth. But when it comes to the IRS calculating whether you owe taxes or not, it is part of your net worth. So you might have a lot in retirement, but you might not have a whole bunch of cash, available to you, and you might feel insolvent. So that's why it's important to use the calculator.
Yeah. The reality is most people that are solvent, that have net worth, the two biggest drivers of net worth are typically retirement accounts and equity in the house, right?
Right.
Most people I see that don't have retirement savings and don't have equity in the house and they have a lot of debt are very likely insolvent, right?
Yes.
But the house and the retirement accounts are the two big drivers that could put you in positive. And that's not to say that's bad. It's not horrible to be like, oh man, I got a positive net worth of $1 million, so I guess I got to pay some taxes on some debt. Most people would rather have that scenario than be like, I'm so far upside down and insolvent, I don't have to pay taxes on this debt, but it also means I don't have any assets either.
Right.
So, it's not the end of the world if you're like, oh man, I got $2 million in my retirement account and equity in my house, so boo-hoo. It's not too bad.
All right. Did you
there is a big difference, like you said, between net worth, like assets, and actual cash flows. Again, everything goes back to the cash flows. You could be struggling and falling behind on payments and have a $2 million net worth, but still not have any cash.
Right. Yeah. You can be rich, but feel poor.
Yeah.
All right. Was there a third story before we jump into refunds?
Oh yeah, there was. We talked about this a little bit, but you just wrote an article on it yesterday, actually. And I thought I would bring it up again because this is the biggest problem I see. And you've seen it for 20 years. And I'm seeing, I don't know if I'm seeing a lot more ads for this because I've watched a couple of ads when I randomly came across it. And now the Instacrap algorithm is feeding it to me or what. But I'm seeing ads for consolidation loans like nobody's business all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because, when I see debt stuff, it catches my eye and I watch it like, what bullshit debt relief company is this now? Mario Lopez and all this kind of stuff. So I tend to watch them. And then I'm yelling at my phone like, this is bullshit. But this article that you wrote is, should I use a debt consolidation loan to pay off my credit cards?
And the answer is no.
But usually no. Sometimes maybe,
no. But
be careful. It's a trap.
The problem is, again, this comes back to your brain on debt, right? You're looking for a magic quick solution. And it sounds like if I just got a loan, that would fix all my problems. But unless you deal with the underlying reasons why you got into trouble in the first place, I guarantee you will get the loan and you'll run the debt back up again.
I guarantee.
Justin Wilson, he was a TV chef. He's the one that's responsible for that.
I guarantee.
I do. And, this is, for all the decades, this is the pattern. And it's not just one debt consolidation loan that you might get. You might have a couple of them because the people that are pushing the loans generally fall into two baskets that I see. One is these days, they may be pushing a debt consolidation loan and saying you're going to get this great loan, but it's going to be bait and switch into a debt settlement program because you're going to apply and they're going to go, oh man, you didn't, oh shoot, you didn't qualify. But we have this even better program, which always makes me laugh, right?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you giving me the better program because I didn't qualify for the one that now is inferior?
Right.
Why wouldn't you offer me the better program first? Jackass? Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Something's rotten in Denmark here.
Yeah. And the other thing is that if anybody is marketing you a debt consolidation loan, let's just say clearly what this is. They're trying to sell you a product so they can make money. It has nothing to do with, if somebody qualified you for that loan, it has nothing to do with you being able to afford it. It just means they were dumb enough to offer it to you. In fact, Damon, like one lender that we've been talking about over the past few days.
We're like, are they stupid?
Yeah.
What? They looked at all of this and still offered 30 grand? Well, okay.
All right. You do you.
Now, there are situations and strategies where getting an immediate influx of cash, which is what these consolidation loans are, can be strategically used in a smart way to get you out of the problem that you're in. But unfortunately, most people, they're in that, that high anxiety and that, panic mode, right? And so all they look at is, okay, I've got way too many accounts. It's high interest. Oh, I'm going to get this loan. It's lower interest and it's going to go to one payment and my overall payoff is going to be slightly lower per month or whatever. It's going to save me some cash. So that can't be a bad thing. So I'm going to do it. They take that $30,000 loan and they pay off cards dollar for dollar. And then like clockwork, because they just pushed the easy button of getting that consolidation loan, helps them take a breath. They don't feel stressed and panicked. Now they're not worried about their finances anymore for a while. And they just go right back to what they've always been doing, which is living beyond the means. And pretty soon the debt starts to creep back onto the credit cards that just got paid off. And before you know it, you're back to the same 30 grand in credit card debt, plus now still have a balance of $26,000 on the $30,000 consolidation loan that you got. And now all you did was spent a year or two turning 30 grand into 50 grand. That's it. Right? I see it all the time.
Well, it feels magical. Just have a plan.
A plan. It's kind of a theme with us.
Yeah.
like everything's on the table as long as you have a plan for it, right?
You have lots of options.
Even Dave Ramsey. We gag on Dave Ramsey a lot, but math is math. It's not that Dave Ramsey's math doesn't work. It's just, in my opinion, he's too militant about it. It's Dave's way or the highway, and you're a freaking moron if you don't want to do it Dave's way. And, I get a lot of phone calls from people that resonate with, I think Dave's a little too militant about, how I have to live my life and I have to do it this way. And so that's why this podcast, I think, resonates with a lot of people where they're like, wait a minute, you mean there is another way to get out of debt than just sacrificing 5 years of my life and telling my kids that your life sucks and we're not going to do anything but sit here and I'd say watch Netflix, but we had to cancel that because that was $26.99. So, we got to pay Chase back faster. We got to get out of that. But yeah, there are other ways, but not to say that Dave Ramsey's method is not the best strategy.
It is a strategy.
Some of you that are listening to this, it could be the best strategy if you like that sort of thing. But for people that don't like that, there's other strategies.
All right, so let's say you're getting that $5,000 or $8,000 tax refund check. There are a bunch of options that you have. Now, I'm not telling you to do any one of these options, just like the example Damon just gave you. These are different options, but all depend on what the overall plan is. So one of the things you could do is if you're trying to settle your debt, You could add it to your settlement fund. You don't have to spend it right away. You could, set it aside and come up with a strategy on how you're going to tackle your debt. That extra $5,000 could mean settling one more account or having a little bit better leverage. So if you,
I used that example of Bank of America a little bit ago. Maybe you owe Bank of America $10,000, but instead of just throwing $5,000 at it, come up with a strategy. You might be able to settle that Bank of America. And I'm just using Bank of America as an example because I used it before. And then use that $5,000 to negotiate and settle the entire card. So now your $5,000 tax return got rid of $10,000 worth of debt. A little bit higher and better use of that money if it's a good strategy for you.
So another thing is you could pay off one small account. You ever seen that happen?
I've seen it on the Dave Ramsey show.
If you just got one small account, and the $5,000 isn't going to be totally diluted by paying it off, or you just need one less creditor, you can pay off one small account. It might give you a little bit of positive brain energy. But another option I really like is save it. Create that emergency buffer, because you don't want stuff going back on credit when you're trying to dig yourself out. That's just, you're digging the hole and throwing the dirt right back in it.
Yeah. And, there is some psychological value to, going back to what you were saying a second ago, paying off some of those smaller debts if it's part of an overall plan that could help give you that dopamine hit that you need, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm making some progress. I'm knocking this out. That's these two little tiny debts that I'm just been paying $35 a month on. I'm just going to get rid of those. So there is potentially that value. And like what Steve's just talking about now is that savings, right? None of us can operate in a situation where we have no savings and no credit, right? You can't operate for any length of time like that, because anytime something that's out of your budget or not planned for pops up, and trust me, it will.
Oh my God,
If you've got no savings and you've got no credit, or you're like, still, I'm not using my credit, I'm paying it off, you can't handle that because you have no liquid savings or credit. And if you have no liquid savings and you're on a debt pay down plan and you're making progress, freeing up credit because you're paying it down, guess what's going to happen when the car needs new tires and you have no savings? Right back on the credit card. And then whatever psychological boost you got from maybe paying off a small card is going to get knocked down in the crapper, because now you're going to be depressed that you're making all these sacrifices, making progress, and
getting
boom,
nowhere.
All of a sudden the balance on the cards just went up $2,000 because you needed new tires.
Right. What's the point? It's hopeless. I might as well give up. That's what.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then you go on a spending spree.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's kind of like when you're on a diet, like I do this, if I'm like doing a keto diet or whatever, and then I have a couple of carbs, and I'm like, well, screw it. I already screwed up my ketosis for the day. I might as well have some ice cream now. Make me feel better about it,
Well, the two things that cause people to overspend unconsciously is to reduce stress or improve self-esteem.
Yeah.
So that happens. So another thing you could do, again, we come back around to this whole plan, a strategic plan. Maybe you need to catch up on missed payments. You could use the tax refund for that. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you had a big move coming up and you needed to move to a different part of the country. And there was no way that you could afford to keep paying your bills right now. And you're going to move in 30 or 60 days. Well, use the tax refund to fill that gap and keep yourself current so that you could qualify for your apartment or your lease or whatever you're going for, even a mortgage, before it all hits the fan.
Yeah. And again, you got to have a plan. Right? There's just no one size fits all. Get your tax refund and do this with it. It just really depends on your circumstances and what you're trying to do. Just have a plan for that $5,000. Make sure it's a good, put it to good use.
One thing that just pisses the hell out of me is to watch somebody take that $5,000 refund and limp along for another month or two because they're so afraid of not being current on their bills. Now you're just 2 months down the road with still no money.
Yeah. Well, and that's normal because that's what they've been doing. That's probably why they have no savings, right? Because they've been, okay, I'm sure I'm going to pull from savings. A lot of people call me when they're, okay, I'm out of savings. I've already pulled from my retirement. I've got multiple loans out on that. I don't have any, all the normal, and I'm doing air quotes, mechanisms that people think about to stay afloat, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've used up. They're gone. They don't know what to do now. And sometimes it is what it is. By the time you find our podcast, you're in that situation, fine. We can still fix it. But if you're in a situation right now where you still have savings, you still have available credit, but you see what's happening, you see that you're slowly pulling from savings every month to make ends meet. You see that your balances are slowly growing because you're having to put more and more expenses on cards. You're about to pull money from your 401k. Call me first before you completely deplete everything and then run out of ideas. Call me first.
Yeah, the tragedy is whenever I've seen somebody who made impulsive, felt like good decisions at the time, but they made decisions that essentially just threw away tens or even hundreds of $1,000s, of future money based on either a cultural belief or an assumption or a myth or something else. It's so much better to get a second opinion before you do something like that. I mean, even if you go to the Ask Steve chat on getoutofdebt.org, or you go have a free call with Damon at damonday.com. And, if either of us say, yeah, you know what, I think you're on the right path, then the only thing is you got a free confirmation that, okay, you're thinking this through. But what's the downside of a free second opinion? Unless you're afraid of what it might say.
Yeah.
All right.
People don't have to do what. I'll give my opinion, but people don't have to follow it. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, do whatever you want. You do you.
I always say I could lead a horse to water, but I'm not going to shove their face in it and make them drink it.
No, I agree. Ultimately, people are independent, free-thinking adults, and they have to make their own adult decisions. The only thing I object to is not the decision that you make. I object to you not getting the information to make the best decision possible. That's the thing that pisses me off.
Well, I don't know if it gets me to the level of pisses me off, because that doesn't affect me what somebody else does with their life. I mean, I might feel bad for them, but I don't know if it pissed me off.
No, actually, that was more hyperbole than anything else. I don't lose any sleep at night.
I was like, wow, you get pissed off over random strangers making bad financial decisions?
No.
I thought your philosophy is more like, you do you, boo.
Yeah, it is. It is. I agree. That was more hyperbole than fact. So what not to do with the refund? Don't pay a little on each account. Don't spread a little.
Take it to the racetrack.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you my dog racing story? I don't know if I did.
I don't think so.
So this was Pam and I in our early days when we were just married. They had a greyhound racing track in Florida where we lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'd always, heard about people going to the track and betting and stuff. And I am not a gambling man. But
you are not. I can attest to that.
But we went and took, put like a $5 bet on some greyhound.
Sweating bullets.
Yeah. Walked in the track, put $5 on, I love this dog. The dog runs around the track. We win. We get $50.
You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I went straight to the ATM and deposited
it. Hence, you are not a betting man.
No, there's no rolling that over. So, no, I'm not a betting man.
But that's how you get hooked, man. You're like, that was the easiest $50 I ever made. If I could do it once, I could do it again.
I remember taking a cab from the Las Vegas airport to the Strip, which is a short ride, but there was a billboard and it said, Best payouts in town, 98%. So let me get this math right.
I know where you're going, Steve.
The best payouts in town are going to cause me to lose 2% every time I put my money on the table.
Best case scenario, I'm going home with 2% down.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like good advertising, but whatever.
Yeah, but people are still going.
Yeah. Well, there's a billboard on a highway near me right now in giant letters. They meant well. Bless their hearts. They meant well. In giant letters, it says, "Fight cancer alone." But in little letters above it, it says, "Make sure you don't
fight cancer alone."
Yeah. Like, somebody needed to look at that from a distance before they put that on. All right. What else not to do with the $5,000? Don't just catch up on minimum payments if you're going to stop paying anyway, or you don't have that need that we just talked about to keep credit great until something happens in 30 to 60 days. Don't, well, I think that if you get $5,000, you've probably been struggling and limping along and stuff. I say take $1,000 of it and just go have some fun, right? Do something to treat your brain, to treat your life. Take yourself and your loved one out to dinner, or do something, or go on a weekend vacation or something. You don't have to be shackled to your bad debt problem 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, don't spread the refund too thin and just try to catch up on some things, and $500 for this one and $400 for that one. If you're on a path where you're maxed out and you're struggling, you're barely keeping up, you're starting to fall behind, if you get a chunk of money, a couple $1,000, just catching that stuff up, all that's doing is buying you a couple more months. If we're not changing the overall situation, you might as well, to Steve's point, I would rather you take the $5,000 and just live it up with the whole damn $5,000. If all you're going to do, if the alternative for you is just to throw it at my credit card so that I get another couple of months. Hold on, my wife is
Kathy
beeping in. She's the only one that can call. Are you still there?
I am. Is the house on fire?
Hold on. What happened? Steve?
Yes. Yes. All right. Well.
Yeah, well, my wife cut me off.
Okay.
I don't know could you hear me?
I could hear you, yes.
I couldn't hear you, but Anyway, what I was saying, it was a damn good point until my wife came in with the ringtone coming like a wrecking ball. So she's the only number that can ring through. It's on Do Not Disturb. But my point is, if all you're going to do is just try to throw it at your minimum payments, so kick the can down the road a couple of months and then be right back in the same position, you essentially wasted that refund anyway. So you might as well just freaking go live it up with it.
Yeah.
Be out of money 3 months sooner. So what at that point? Now, granted, I would rather you come up with a plan and strategically use that $5,000 for good. But if you're not going to, you might as well blow it.
Right.
Take it to the track.
In fact, it's not an illogical plan.
Yeah, but the better plan is come up with the plan before you take it to the track. I'm just saying, if you're going to do the Reddit advice and just blow it and just kick the can down the road for 3 months without changing anything else, then you might as well take it to the track. At least you got a chance.
Put it all on red.
Hey, you'll come back a 2% loser.
Yeah, that's right. All right, next week, we're going to talk to the people who are still waiting for that refund, waiting for the right time, waiting for something. And it's called the waiting game. I'll deal with it after the tax season. And here's a spoiler. It costs you money. It really does. So, Damon?
Well, tax season is full of emotional decisions dressed up as financial decisions. This podcast keeps you rational. Maybe.
Maybe.
Stay subscribed. Yeah, stay subscribed through April. This is when the most damage happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Before your refund hits, decide which option that we talked about makes sense for your situation. Write it down if you're a visual type, and then tell someone. Don't let the refund arrive without a plan, or it will disappear at the track.
I would like to give a very warm welcome to all our regular listeners who, when they talk to you, they mention how much they have enjoyed listening to you and that other guy.
And the other guy.
The other guy, Mr. 2%.
Hey, if you are going to call me, just to make Steve feel better, when you call, say, "Oh, I've listened to your podcast with you and Steve," and then I can finally call Steve and say, "Hey, somebody knows who you are." It'll make him feel good. Since he's the one doing all the behind-the-scenes work on the podcast anyway.
And writing all these damn posts and all this research.
Oh, my gosh. He does all the legwork. The least you could do is say, "with you and Steve."
Well, okay. I'll give you that. That'll put a smile on my face.
Yeah, and then I can call him up and be like, "Somebody knows your name, bro. You're doing something right."
I'm not the other guy.
That's that podcast with the funny guy and the other guy.
The other guy.
The guy that has all the facts and boring shit.
He's so boring.
So boring.
All right, your tax refund is a tool, and every tool works best when it's used with some sort of intention. Knowing what you're doing with it before it lands in your account, that is something that we strive for. So until next time, Damon, I will see you.
Peace.